It's day 286 of Ukrainian resistance. Ukraine Media Center Ukrinform continues its operation. My name is Vasyl Samochvalov, and we start our next briefing. Our guest is Georgy Kovalenko, Archpriest of the Orthodox Church of Ukraine, rector of the Open Orthodox University of Saint Sophia. Glory to Ukraine, glory to Jesus Christ. The first question concerns everybody in Ukraine. When do Ukrainians have to celebrate Christmas and all the other holidays? When does Saint Nicholas has to come to us? You see, this year Saint Nicholas already was coming to Ukrainians on the 6th of December, and he will come again on the 19th this year. The Orthodox Church of Ukraine, by their solution of its synod, allowed the parishes to choose when to celebrate Christmas, either on 25th of December or on the 7th of January. We in our parish in Sophia of Kiev, we had a meeting and we decided that we will celebrate Christmas on both days for different parts of parishioners. And my personal proposition is that Christmas is a not single day holiday. It's like Eastern. It takes several days, for example, Christmas and so-called Svyatki, which were going all the way until the baptizing day, since 25th of December all the way until the 7th of January, and I think this is how we should celebrate Christmas and New Year as Ukrainians. New Year is in between those days, and how would it influence other different days? For example, me as Vasyl, I'm curious when we will celebrate the day of Saint Vasyl. For this day, Church had no resolution when to switch to different other holidays, but we understand that the majority of the Christian world lives by Julian calendar, celebrating the Christmas on the 25th of December. The Ukrainian Church lives by Julian calendar and celebrates on the 25th of December, but it's old style. But the new style, it's the 7th of January. So I think that it's about time we start discussing the Orthodox Church of Ukraine to take a resolution on switching to new Julian calendar. It would be nice if this resolution would have been taken not separately by one church, but by the whole religious community, or all the Orthodox churches, or Orthodox and Greek Catholics, or the Christians within the frame of Ukrainian Council of Churches. And I think that this year, this celebration will be very demonstrative in a sense. We have to look at the situation, and we will have time, we will have certain period. I will remind you that the new year starts on the 1st of March by the church calendar. It will all be discussed, but we have to take into account that in the churches people are more conservative, and they tend more to stand within the traditional framework. The society today is more progressive, and I think that certain options are possible which would satisfy everybody. For example, current option is to allow those who want to celebrate Christmas on the 25th of December, let them celebrate on the 25th, and those who want to celebrate on 7th of January, let them celebrate on the 7th. Am I being heard? Well, yeah, you're being heard. If anybody has any questions, please let me know. I have a question. You were talking just now about the interconfessional dialogue. How did the Ukrainian Orthodox Church change, and how did the religious landscape change within the last 9 months? Well, do you mean the Orthodox Church of Ukraine or the Ukrainian Orthodox Church of the Moscow Patriarchate? I'm talking about the Orthodox Church of Ukraine and what changed in country in general. I think that the church is the people, and everything that changed within the people changed within the church. All of us together, we work for the victory. The priests serve as the chaplains. The priests are involved in volunteer and charity activity, humanitarian activities. They bring the people out of the regions, they feed the people, they help with what they can. And in the same way, there is a large number of parishioners who left Ukraine, and the subject of spiritual food for the people scattered around the world, it's urgent, it's necessary, and it requires solutions which are sometimes have new shapes of activity. This is what has changed. We're talking about some specific Ukrainian Orthodox Church, which is not Moscow Patriarchate, but it's not yet finalized. There are very turbulent processes inside of it, because with the beginning of the war, it became impossible. I mean, this hybrid coexistence of those who pushes Russian narratives and those who serve the Russian special services, and those real parishioners, the believers, the adherents who exist within the Moscow Patriarchate. So this religious community has most turbulent processes inside of it. Your questions, please. Good afternoon. Ukrinform, Ina Litvinenko. You just mentioned the necessity of dialogue, interconfessional dialogue with the other churches as to in terms of switching to new celebration calendar. Are there similar discussions or already going on, or is it only something that is being only planned? If we change the calendar and the state holidays, which are defined as the days off, the public holidays, we will have to talk with the legislators on changing of the calendars. Are such discussions going on already? Well, talking about the calendar date of celebration of the Christmas, they are in progress for many years, but it's only now, I think, that we are proceeding to something concrete. To have 25th as the day off, it can be considered a benchmark on this path. Talking about the dialogue with other churches, yes, we have to initiate it. We have to create some joint committees, but first of all, we have to define it within each separate church. It cannot be done within 2 or 3 days, but if we start this process like right upon the celebration of Christmas, I agree with you completely that there should be a certain synchronization with the government, with the public calendar, because some of the religious holidays are public holidays, and within the political community I've heard a lot that there is sociology that the number of Ukrainians is growing who would like us to be closer to Christian world rather than to the imperial Russia, so that we become closer to the majority of Christian churches and not to the minority, where the most powerful in this minority is Russian church. But again, we have to adhere to the tradition, and it requires certain will of the priests, some education work made by the priests and the government support as well, because without the powerful information support and without the solutions, without the resolutions regarding the public holidays and which of them have to be changed, switched to the other dates, it will support this issue. But again, we will have to make it in a way which would consolidate the society, and we take into account the opinion of the minority, not making everybody equal. So I'm thinking that Moscow Patriarchate will stand against it, just like always, but I think that within the priest community there should be people who would have liked the unity for Ukrainian Orthodox Church, including the calendar issue. Ярослава Міщенко, Ukrinform. Mr. Georgy, thank you very much. You've been mentioning that we have to celebrate Christmas on the 25th of December, but again, to reiterate it for our Parisians, our listeners could have heard it again. Can you tell us about the 25th of December? Why this date? How did it emerge? How did it appear? Well, calendars are made by the people. It's the Julian calendar comes from Julius, the Roman emperor, and it's tied to the sun cycles, and it's tied to the equinox, the winter equinox. So the date does not appear immediately. There are certain researches that show that Christ was born in that season, but we have to understand that back in the times of Christ, people lived by lunar calendar, and that's why we celebrate Easter, which is connected to lunar calendar, and solar calendar was the calendar of Roman Empire. Julius is the emperor, or was an emperor. When the scientists came to understanding that the calendar is imprecise, that it starts lagging, it starts falling behind, the Roman Catholic Church, which was taking care of the science back in the day, and was part, or was in cooperation with the countries of Europe, they took a resolution on implementation of a new, more precise calendar, which would coincide with the solar cycles, and that's when the Gregorian calendar was implemented, and it starts lagging again. And now the scientists are thinking about moving the dates like one day ahead a little bit. So the Orthodox Church was falling behind a little bit, but in the beginning of century 20 there was a big meeting, big synod. Unfortunately, Russian Empire was in turbulence due to revolution back in those days, and Ukraine together with them was involved in those processes. It's year 24 or 25, there was a resolution for the Orthodox to switch to the new Julian calendar. And the new Julian calendar is the same as Gregorian, but it's a different way of calculation of the Easter date. And thus, the majority of the churches adopted this new calendar. I don't know how easy is that for explanation to the parishes, but I will say, maybe in more simple words, I like the idea of celebration of Christmas starting from 25th December to all the way to the 7th of January, visiting each other, singing the kolodka songs, and visiting the church services on all those days. All these days we were serving our masses by the blessing of Archpriest Volodymyr for the employees of the Romanian embassy. For example, I was visiting a church of Andrei on the 25th December every year. Starting from 2016, we started celebrating Open Christmas on 25th of December, a special Christmas day in Open Christian University. It was the day of education. I think that all of us, we should feel the 25th of December with this Christmas sense, singing the kolodka songs, doing different education events, and so on and so forth. And this is what will help our parishioners not only to adhere to the tradition, but also to create new traditions and to join modern day with the traditionality, and in this way to be understandable for wide crowds who together with all the world starting from the middle of December, they start decorating the shopping malls, the streets, they start watching the Christmas movies, listening to Christmas songs, and I think that many of our parishioners have to engage with those Christian communities in different countries of Europe, I mean in terms of celebrating Christmas. And for those who receive them to their hosts, they can show how the Christmas is being celebrated in Ukraine with kutya and our kolядka songs and the Holy Evening and New Year Щедрівка songs. Well, you mentioned Vasil. Vasil has nothing to do with Щедрівка songs, and it's a peculiar tradition when we celebrate the New Year from 31st on 1st, and we sing the Щедрівка songs on the day of Saint Vasil. I think that we should be singing them according to their sense on the New Year Eve, and don't think that Saint Vasil is the listener of our Щедрівка songs. I think we will stop intimidating our foreign friends with this linguistic structure, Old New Year. Another question. Well, what was it perceived, that the proposal of the church to celebrate on the 25th of December? Well, I don't know exactly, I don't know for sure, but right upon that solution, the parishioners started coming and asking, how shall we celebrate? I've heard those talks, I've seen it on the social media, that without waiting for the calendar switch, many people was presenting gifts to the kids and congratulated them with the St. Nicholas Day. Well, the municipal society is more in mood for switching the calendar. The rural parishes are more traditional, and I know a parish not so far from Kiev, I think it's Cherkasy region. The Cherkasy parish, there was a meeting of the parishioners, and they resolved to have a service, to have a mass on the 7th of January. So in the same way, just like in a Greek church, they have a mass on the 25th of December on the Saint Mountain, and on the Saint Mountain of Aphon. It's being served on the 7th of January, but they still can pray together. They can have joint services. We will have a civilized way when we listen to the opinion of our parishioners, and there are both opinions in the parishes, and I think that the proposal to have it celebrated on both 25th and on the 7th, it kind of makes sense until there is a resolution on the church, on the level of the church in general, and before the education work is done and there is a consolidated opinion. Thanks a lot. We had Georgy Kovalenko joining us, the Archpriest of Orthodox Church of Ukraine, rector of the Open Orthodox University of Saint Sophia. We were talking about the celebration of the Christmas for Ukrainians. We will continue our work tomorrow. See you shortly.